Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 11th of August, 2024. We're publishing our gold and silver weekly update for the week ending the 9th of August. Gold and silver dipped slightly last week. Is this the fall before a significant rise? Well, let's take a look. Now first, just a quick reminder, we've set up a second channel entitled Finances Do Matter, covering a whole array of financial topics. We've placed a link in the description box and comment section below for those who have not, as yet, joined that channel. Now gold fell $11 last week, falling from $2,442 to $2,431. It did go as high as $2,459 and as low as $2,364. So it closed just shy of 0.5% down. Gold spread between high and low was $95. Last weekend we said gold would trade between $2,375 and $2,500. Gold momentarily dipped below our low on Monday, but did so for less than an hour and then operated broadly within our range. In sterling terms, it finished the week down just £3 at £1,907, and in euros it closed down €13 at 2,229 euros. We are certainly expecting gold this coming week to rise in sterling terms for sure. Silver fell $1.08, falling from $28.56 to $27.48, having been as high as $28.81 and as low as $26.50, a fall of 3.8%. The difference between its high and low was $2.31. Last weekend we predicted silver will trade between $27 and $30, and we put our low of our outlier range at $26.50, which ironically is exactly the lowest level silver hit. Though, like gold, it did not remain at that low for very long. In sterling terms, it closed down 82 pence at £21.55, and in euros it closed down 1.07 euros at 25.18. The gold to silver ratio rose quite significantly from 84.8 to 1 to 88.5 to 1. It's quite likely that we may see this ratio rise back into the 90s very soon. Bitcoin's up $567 at 61,238, and equities were marginally lower, with the Dow Jones down 240 at 39,497, the S&P 500 down just 2 at 5,344, the Nasdaq down 31 at 16,745, and the FTSE 100 index in the UK down 6 points at 8,168. Oils unfortunately reversed their downward movement and rose this past week. Brent crude closed at $79.66, that's up $2.85, and WTI crude closed at $76.84, up $3.32. The dollar index was almost unchanged, just down 0.07 on the week at 103.13. Those who listened to our podcast last week heard us express some concern about geopolitical events, particularly in the Middle East, and how they could have a short-term impact on the precious metal price. So when gold first opened, we saw that initial rise, but as nothing really happened, it fell back quite sharply on Monday and began gaining some momentum upwards from Thursday to close at its 4-day high on Friday. This, we suspect, is in preparation for this coming week. You see, we have upcoming CPI and PPI reports, and these are crucial because if they show weak inflation, this could prompt Fed rate cuts, potentially sending gold to $2,500. There's also been global demand shifts. India has seen a price-driven uptake, while China's premiums rise on safe haven buying. So last week's data was little and pretty benign, but this week's will either seriously excite or potentially seriously disappoint markets. Now this is what's coming. Tuesday we have the producer price index. Wednesday we have CPI and core CPI for July. Markets are expecting year-over-year CPI to hold firm at 3% and year-over-year core CPI to fall slightly from 3.3 to 3.2%. Any variation in either direction will affect markets. Even if these figures are achieved as predicted, it will suggest a rate cut in September, and so precious metals will see a nice, though not necessarily overwhelming, rise from here. Now, Thursday we have retail sales, which hopefully markets will support the CPI figures. And Friday we have multiple housing data reports. So watch out Tuesday and Wednesday and see if Thursday follows through. Looking at silver though, we saw its price fall just over $1, primarily because, and this is a little disturbing, industrial demand from US and China weakened. And the question is, will federal rate cuts potentially boost the precious metal? You see, those who follow silver closely know that in any year, between 50 and 60% of silver demand is for industrial purposes. And this has a significant bearing on price. It's possible we could see a situation whereby inflation goes down, but the economy, due to higher rates, also falters. And as a result, silver benefits from any uptick in reducing inflation, but suffers from industrial demand reductions. If inflation remains robust and the economy falters as well, then silver will be in a world of hurt. And so we are expecting bigger moves on silver if any of those figures come out the wrong way. Now, we suspect that economist predictions on inflation will be pretty close to what is actually revealed, but we are a little concerned that silver may not gain the full advantage of what this means in terms of interest rate cuts because of the faltering industrial demand. Now, geopolitically, which we cannot ignore, President Zelensky acknowledged for the first time on yesterday, that Ukrainian forces were fighting in the surprise offensive in Russia's Kursk, as attacks on the border region continued, with authorities rushing to evacuate people. Also in Israel, they expanded their evacuation orders in Khan Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip overnight, forcing tens of thousands of Palestinian residents and displaced families to leave in the dark as explosions from tank shelling reverberated around them. Back at home in the US, Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party are making significant progress in the US elections, at least as far as the polls are concerned, as many recent polls are now placing her ahead of Trump. And so far, markets have reacted moderately positive to this news, despite Trump's warnings that markets will tank if she is elected. So we have quite a number of influences these coming weeks on equity, cryptos, and precious metal markets. Now, last weekend we said, quote, "So we're of the view that gold may continue to rise this coming week, and if it does not, it will certainly make up for it the week after. Silver will follow gold's lead, but we suspect, unfortunately, not as strongly." Unquote. Well, both dipped, with silver dipping more than gold, and let's see if we're right, and they recovered this week. Though once again we warn that if there is a recovery, silver will probably not gain as much ground as gold will, at least not yet. So taking all of this into account, our gold forecast for this coming week, and it's going to be a tricky week because we don't know what the figures are going to be, but our forecast is that gold will trade between $2,375 and $2,500, with outliers standing at $2,350 and $2,525, just in case there is an aberrant figure for inflation. Silver, we envisage, will trade between $26.50 and $29.50, with an outlier range of $26 and $30. What do you think? Please do share your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. We'd appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe and press the bell sign. Pop on over to Finances Do Matter. Have a really prosperous week ahead. We suspect the brave may very well profit from the figures that are coming out, particularly on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday.